First year I did it, the students were really intrigued by it. They had a good time. And the second year I did it with this one now, I've got 27 students enrolled, and the reason that anecdotally it's good is because they pay extra for this. This is more cash out of their pockets. This is not a part of the fixed tuition structure that they have. So, any hard data? No, I don't have any hard data. But the results have been positive. The papers have been very credible papers, and I'm very thrilled about it. Would I do this with one else? No, because they need a more defined knowledge database. They need more skills. They need a few more of those things. But it does work in upper level classes, and I now have to relinquish the podium to my colleague, Ed Martin.
Professor Bolla tells me that I have an educational philosophy, I guess. I'm still working on it. I don't think it's constructivist, but I would suggest that it's probably more traditionalist, although that's probably not one of the behavioralist. Traditional. I've been teaching law school for 17 years, give or take. And basically, I follow a pretty much standardized methodology, casebook methodology. I use a combination of Socratic dialogue, question answer, a little bit of lecture mixed in, and discussion in class. So naturally, when he comes at me with all of this, it's just like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong for 17 years. I didn't know what to call it. The one thing, however, we're all here to learn about, and we've learned a lot about it this week, is what are we going to do with our new technology and how we're going to implement this into our courses. And so one of the things that I wanted to do from my perspective is, okay, I'm not ready for just turning it loose, letting them go out there and do whatever. I want to still be in control linearly or whatever, directionally. But I'm willing to try. Let me see what I can design, or with Diane's help and Alex's help. How can I use this technology to make my students, help them get more out of the class, help them do better in the class, and hopefully all of us have a more positive and enhanced experience in this process. And so what I've done, and what I want to do in the next few minutes now, is give you a very, very brief tour of two courses that I'm just going to show you two. They're both obviously in the torts related area, and I'm going to be flipping back and forth from one to the other to show you different little modules and things that we've put in there that hopefully enhance the course and help me do a better job of what I do, and that's teach in the classroom. The first is a 1L beginning course, 3-hour course in torts, and the other is an advanced class. I call it advanced. I'm sorry. The second is the advanced torts, and it's really for anybody that's had the basic tort course. And so what we're about now, you can't see the whole screen, sadly, from up here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just kind of give you some demonstration, go through some of these courses, and go through some principles, hopefully that I think are valid and have been demonstrated in a positive way that I'm learning as I learn how to implement this technology. And again, I'm still trying to be in control here. I know it's slipping away. And ever so much, gradually, one of these days, maybe Professor Bolla said, I won't be here at all. I'll just be in my office in Birmingham, which, of course, by the way, is up here. And you won't need me at all. Just come over here if you want to see what I look like. You can talk to me if you want. Send me emails. But the first thing that I do, again, very traditional, I create what appears to be a recognizable syllabus for my students to look at. And the idea here is so that they get some sense of, okay, these are the buttons, these are the things that you can actually point to and go to. Now, in terms of advantages, let me just go through these quickly in the few minutes that we have. What I have learned from these experiences are, I think, the positives more than outweigh the negatives. Okay, the negatives, I had to learn HTML, programming language. That was not fun. That was almost as much fun as a root canal. But it kind of grows on you after a while, and sure enough, with, again, Diane and Alex helping me, pulling and pushing and prodding and helping me along, it hasn't been as painful as it probably would have been. But now I feel a little more comfortable, and I can actually look at the code that goes behind these things and make a reasonable effort to decipher what it says. So I can actually fix my own codes now, most of the time. Okay, accessibility. We all know about accessibility, the idea of 24-hour availability on the internet. Students can access this component of the course anytime they want to. I can post announcements. I can get in touch with my students. They don't have to be there for me to do that. I can post assignments. I can change my mind, and frequently do, in terms of course coverage as we go through the course. Now, this is more important in a first-year torts class than it is in a upper class, where I'm a little more rigid in the structure because of the material, and I'm able to cover it at a regular pace, and I know what that pace is. Sometimes with a first-year class, they kind of set their own pace to a degree, and you can't cover quite the same material quite the same way every time. And so it's very helpful for me to be able to go into a course, sit down with the syllabus, and say, okay, folks, here's the basic syllabus, but here's the assignment. So what I've done is I created a little table, and each week in the class, the student will be able to click in here, click on a particular week's assignment. And at least for that week, I've made an effort to be, this is what we're doing. Okay. Now, if the student wants to read ahead and they want to check with what they did last week, they can go back, make sure that they're up to date. They can click around. They can also see what's coming up next. Now, what I do in my first year class is I don't make these things active, except for a couple weeks at a time. And so these links, a lot of these links out here they'll be dead. They won't anything happen. I don't want my 1Ls reading out ahead too far because they're just not ready. Okay? So that's where we're going. That's where we'll be, but you're not there yet. So I can control where they go, at least to a degree, with the assignments. Because if you teach 1Ls, you'll know what I'm talking about. By October, you'll have some people coming to you saying, well, where are we going? I want the end of the class because I want to read out for the end of the semester. Well, they're not ready to read out. Okay? You're still teaching them how to find the issue in a case. So that's what I do. Now, again, on the other syllabus, I put the whole syllabus up there, and the students, if they want to read out after the first day of class, so be it. Let them go. More power to them. Okay, another advantage that I find is this methodology that I'm using is actually enhancing my classroom discussions in 3 ways. First of all, it allows my students to participate. More of my students are participating in class than ever before. Okay? I don't attribute it to my great presence in class or my insightful questions, although they're getting better every year too, I'm sure. But I'm sure it has something to do with this technology that we're using. I'll show you how I'm implementing it in just a minute. The second thing that I'm noticing my students are coming to class better prepared. You say, how can you not be prepared? You read the casebook, there it is. Because I'm doing some things with my assignments to help them get better prepared. Okay, if, for example, in torts, and of course, sadly, I mean, if you don't teach torts, but it doesn't matter, you give a student a case and they read it, it's in the casebook, and unfortunately, the way the casebooks are edited, sometimes the editors take out some of the best parts. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I just disagree with the way this one case was edited, but still I'm going to use your casebook. I can put the whole case back in, or I can put that part back in. I can let the case, the original case, the case as it's supposed to be read, be presented to the students in its entirety, or in whatever edited form I want. Okay? The other thing that I find very helpful for this purpose is that very often the students who, when they read the cases, are not reading footnotes. They don't read, how many of your students actually read Smith v. Jones cited in the case? They say, oh, wait a minute, I recognize this is a very relevant case. I'm going to stop right now and go to the library, pick up and find Smith v. Jones, pull it, read it, so that I can really, really be prepared. Answer, nobody does that. Heck, I wouldn't do that. Okay? But after teaching this course for a number of years, I know that's a really important case. And so I went to the trouble to go to the library if I had the internet. I brought the case to them. I put a link in the case. They linked on the case, and now their assignment is, folks, if it's got a color up there, you're supposed to click on it and go there and read it. That's part of your assignment. The original text plus anything that's behind a colored link. And what I'm finding is that the students are doing it. They're actually going, and I know this because Diane tells me in the library they're printing out reams of these things. And so I know they're doing it, and they come to class prepared, better prepared. To me, that's just an absolutely wonderful thing that enhances what we're able to do. Let me move up here, and I'll just quickly go through here and show you a couple of these, illustrate just what's actually behind some of this stuff to give you an idea. Okay, I'm now in the advanced course menu again, and this is a typical syllabus. This is what the thing looks like, and each thing that's hot linked is obviously part of the assignment. Well, if the students read the case, and this is the actual case, or at least the part of it that I want them to read, as they're reading down along here, it turns out as they read through this, they're able to link and hot link back and forth, go through the materials from one area to another. And it just allows them to be very, very selective in the other thing. Now, what I'm doing here is I've created for these the students some questions. And in order to keep students from coming in that I don't want in there, I've password protected those particular areas. Okay. This is not so much that I don't care if you want to read it. If you call me up, I promise you I'll send you the password. You can go back there and look at it. That's fine. It's mainly just to keep other people out from getting in all these into the materials that I'm putting back in there. I want my students to know that they have special access. Okay, I mean it's nothing special. These are the questions. When they get there, the questions are going to be questions that I'm going to ask. Some of these are going to be questions I'm going to ask in class. Guess what? They know what some of the questions are when they come to class. They're going to be better prepared. Once again, the discussions go much deeper, much more thorough than ever before. And one of the problems that we all have are the lurkers, the ones who come to class and they don't really, that's what happens if you try to get into the fast. They don't really help us at all. They just sit back there. Some very bright students, but they don't help at all in class. They just sit back there and do not contribute. Well, I encourage my students to email questions and to respond to me by the email. By the way, I still maintain regular office hours, and I probably see more students now than ever before because I'm seeing not only the ones who are always there anyway, okay, but I'm beginning to see the ones, the lurkers, the ones who, the shy ones, the ones who sit off in the back of the room and they simply will never ask a question in class. But ever so gradually they'll type out a question over the internet. And when they get a response from me, they get so excited. And gradually it draws them out. Now this does a couple of things. This allows me to find out who they are. So when I get into class, I'm going to call on them and give them some help, get them involved in the discussions, and gradually they get over that fear that so many of them have. And again, this is not just a problem that I face with first years, but all students, but it's particularly prevalent in first years, if you teach first year students. So what we end up doing then is I have participation from the ones who are always going to participate anyway, both in person and over the internet. I'm now getting participation from the students by the email responses. On all of my pages, I have made available to the students the option. Every single page has a little thingy in here, and if they click on that, that opens up an email. So it doesn't matter where they are, whatever page they're surfing through the net, through the website. Here's the question. It couldn't be easier. All you have to do is fill in the blanks. As soon as you fill in the blanks, it comes to me. Now, the way I have it set right now, I know who they are. One of the things that I have gotten from this conference is I'm going to go back and I'm going to have ask me an anonymous question. And I'll set up another form for that. And so if a student doesn't want to be identified, if they, for whatever reason, there'll be other ways that I can find out who they are and that sort of thing. But another thing along the same lines, this does help with the general class discussion. It allows us to let me just again, behind password protect, and the reason I do this is mainly to protect the privacy of these people's emails. I don't want to be the one that puts it out on the internet. Okay, if somebody else does it, that's fine, but it's not going to be me. This is like a mail list, basically, of everybody in this. This is a seminar class, and one of the things we want to do is we want to talk. We want to encourage discussion among the group, and so by putting them all together and having access to those to everybody, one student can email another student a particular question in the class, or if they want, they can email each other. The whole group. They can click this button down here, and everybody can email. And what we end up doing, if we go this route, is we have what's called a threaded discussion. And the way this works, you all know how threaded discussions work. But the idea is, by creating these threaded discussion groups, they're able to. And by the way, once the student enters the password one time, they don't ever have to do it again for that session. So it's not like they have to enter the password every time they click and change screens. Okay, now what I've created here is a kind of a mini module on retortive privacy. I'm using this in the seminar course, but I also use it in my regular torts class. We don't have time to cover privacy in great detail in a 3-hour course. I'd love to be able to do it, but we just don't. And so what I do is we cover the basics, but then I provide information like this: notes, questions, cases, detailed coverage. Those students who want to find out more about privacy, and we do have them, they can go here, they can learn this. This will only enhance their class performance in torts or whatever else, but certainly not required. They can come in here, answer these questions, and email me the answers back by filling in the blocks. One of the neat ways that I've gotten with my seminars, and these are the 2 and 3 L's, the people who are the older students. They're not going to come to class, the seminar class, unless you make them. Okay? They'd rather just write their paper, turn in their papers, and be done with it. But I want to encourage discussion in class about these issues and topics. And so what I do is I say, look, you don't have to come to class, but if you don't, you have to answer these questions. You're not going to get out of the intellectual content of the discussions by just not coming to class. And so I'm getting almost 100% class attendance. Nobody wants to answer the questions outside of class and send them in to me in writing. Even though, frankly, I'm not really grading them. They just don't want to do it. But nevertheless, they all read the questions and they come to class prepared. So I'm happy, they're happy, and hopefully we're getting more out of it. Okay, we're out of time. What I have done, and I realize I don't want to make you miss the bus. What I've done is I know, but they may want the 5 o'clock bus. We're all kind of tired. It's been a long week. I have a handout here for anybody that wants it. You're welcome to it. You can access these sites from the information on the handout, the Internet Law site, and I'd welcome your comments. As you feel free to browse through here, copy the code, the script if you want it. For some of these forms, it took me a while to write it, so it's a whole lot easier to copy it than it is to write it. I learned that, but then I went to that copyright thing, and I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. But at any rate, I appreciate you staying so late, and it's been a great conference. I hope everybody had a great time. I'll let you shut it down.